I think the problem among many on the left is they don't try to understand conservatives or, more importantly, Trump supporters. And there's a difference between a general conservative who supports Trump and a Trump supporter who may actually not be conservative. There are certainly moderate individuals who became hardcore Trump supporters for a variety of reasons. There were even Bernie supporters who went to support Trump. But now I see this and I look at it and I'm like, I really do get why people like this guy. Quote, "Would you like some nice ISIS fighters?" Donald Trump taunts Emmanuel Macron over captured terrorists in Syria after ripping him for nasty NATO comments. But French president slaps back, "Let's be serious," and spars on Turkey and Russia. You see, Donald Trump was sitting down, I believe this was live, reporters all around with Emmanuel Macron of France. And someone asked him about ISIS fighters, and Trump turns to Macron and says, want some? I'll give them to you because we're not taking them. In an apparent jab at the fact that many European nations are welcoming some of these people back. So now, yes, I can understand. I mean, look, I get it, right? Let me stop here. Obama, he did the apology tour. That's how it was framed by many conservatives. You get Trump and he's the exact opposite of that. He's the in-your-face, troll you on TV in front of all of the reporters president. And I can understand why that's probably emotionally satisfying. To see someone put these people in their place, knocking them down a few pegs, I can understand that. Personally, I laugh at it. I do. Because I don't think the world's going to end. I think we're in this period, Trump will be the president for a while, and then eventually, he'll leave, someone else will come in. But, these people on the left think like this is the end of the world. It's like, dude, you've got one president who's rough and off the cuff and crude and crass and makes jokes and troll people. Calm down. Live a little bit. Laugh a little bit. It's not the end of the world. Trump is a silly guy. I think it's inappropriate, but I get why it's funny. I have a sense of humor. Let's read this story. President Donald Trump needled French President Emmanuel Macron over a heated dispute about accepting captured ISIS fighters, offering to, quote, "give them to you," after kicking off meetings in London with an attack on his nasty comments about NATO. Seated alongside Macron on his first day of meetings here, Trump took a dig at Macron for France and other European nations being reluctant to accept nationals from their own countries who joined the fight alongside ISIS terrorists. Trump turned to his counterpart and asked, "Would you like some nice ISIS fighters? I could give them to you." The moment came hours after Trump had blasted Macron for previous comments that NATO was suffering brain death, although the two leaders appeared to patch things up afterwards. It's banter. It's not the end of the world. I'm sure both Trump and Macron have much more to worry about, and after the fact, probably don't care. But certainly, it makes for great political world wrestling entertainment. Trump made his remark about ISIS after pressing France to accept the return of more of its countrymen and women and pledging they were currently being held under lock and key. Quote, "We have a tremendous amount of captured fighters, ISIS fighters over in Syria, and they are all under lock and key, but many are from France." Okay, so let me correct basically what I said. He's saying they should be taking back if it's their people. Many from Germany and many are from the UK. They're mostly from Europe, and some of the countries are agreeing. I have not spoken to the president about that. "Would you like some nice ISIS fighters? I can give them to you. You can take everyone you want," Trump quipped. That drew a caution from Macron. Or is it Macron? I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name. "Let's be serious," the French leader scolded before outlining his own position. "It is true you have a current fighters coming from Europe, but it's a minority problem of the overall problem we have. And I think the number one priority, because it is not yet finished, is to get rid of ISIS," Macron lectured, as Trump listened to a translation of his remarks. Trump has previously declared victory over ISIS only to say a contingent of U.S. forces would remain. "And it is not done. I'm sorry to say that," Macron told him. "Your number one problem are not the foreign fighters, it is the ISIS fighters in the region, and you have more and more of these fighters due to the situation today." Yeah, but come on, let's be real. There absolutely are people being radicalized in Europe and heading down. It doesn't mean, it's always a deflection we see, and it doesn't matter if you're left or right. When someone points out a problem, the response is, "but it's not the biggest problem." Yeah, I get it, man. We can talk about problems without them being the biggest problem in the world. That's why I typically don't fault people who constantly talk about Trump. Well, I constantly talk about, the Democrats, because we focus on the problems we think are important. It doesn't mean they're any less important. They could be, maybe, The point is, if Trump wants to bring up a point, by all means, go and do it. But there's another story I wanted to get to because Trump had this trip talking about NATO, and it's one I really don't get, and it's really weird. Jeremy Corbyn vows to confront Donald Trump at Buckingham Palace tonight after the president rubbished his NHS claims, saying he would not want to seize health service if it were served on a silver platter. This one is really strange to me. Apparently there's a rumor going around because of like some fake document or some leaked document, I don't know, claiming that in response, it was talking about a trade deal between the U.S. and Great Britain, that after Brexit, Britain can do a deal with the U.S., and apparently said something about the National Health Service, I think that's what it means, in the UK being on the table, that Trump would want to, give private, American companies access to the NHS or something. It sounds so weird. It just came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, Jeremy Corbyn, who apparently is like some overt anti-Semite, is saying things like, they're going to come and take our health care away. And it's like, wait, what? I never heard that. Where did that come? Apparently, Trump said the same thing. He says, I don't know what you're talking about. No one ever. Why would the United States want access to NHS? Like Trump probably thinks NHS is trash. He might as well not have anything to do with it. And that's what he said. So apparently he was asked, and he said, we wouldn't touch it if you handed it to us on a silver platter. It had nothing to do with that. So now, and here's probably the point, Jeremy Corbyn is going to confront Donald Trump. Yep, fake news. I think the anti-Brexit, the Remainers, they're trying to drum up a scare tactic against those who would leave Brexit by claiming, if we leave Brexit, Donald Trump's going to swoop in and take away your health care. And as an American, I am confused by that because that's not come up literally anywhere. And this is a UK news source, Daily Mail. So I certainly have no idea what they're talking about. And let me tell you, I read the news nonstop all day, every day, and I've heard nothing of this. But I'll tell you what, didn't stop protesters, apparently, from showing up, saying, keep your tiny hands off our NHS. What? Trump hasn't come out and been like, we've got to intervene in the UK's healthcare system? That literally is just so weird. Why would we do that? That doesn't make sense. We have a for-profit system. For the most part, we make money doing it. What's the motivation for meddling in a foreign government's healthcare system? It just came out of nowhere. So now you get all these protesters. Trump hands off our NHS. What? You know what, man? Fine. It's possible. It's real. Maybe they discuss it. But I'll just tell you what, man. There's such little information about this. I can't say I'm shocked to see a bunch of anti-Trump Remainers saying, stop Trump. UK, they're protesting Donald Trump. This is the most mind-blowing absurdity to me. They're so easily led by fake news that you've literally convinced British people to protest the American president, claiming that he wants to take their health care away. What is this? And so, surprise, surprise, Jeremy Corbyn is vowing to confront Trump. Man, Trump really is the bad orange man that even the UK can use him to drum up support for remaining. The Daily Mail reports, Jeremy Corbyn vowed to confront Donald Trump at Buckingham Palace tonight after the U.S. president took a wrecking ball to his claims the U.S. wants to seize the NHS. Think about that for 2 seconds. It's ridiculous. The Labour leader said he will warn the president public services are not for sale. Why would we? What is this? At a NATO reception being hosted by the Queen later. The threat comes despite Trump moving to kill the veteran left-winger's main election attack line by flatly dismissing the idea he wants a post-Brexit trade deal to open up the health service to American companies and push up drug prices. Speaking as he ran the gauntlet of a NATO summit in London, Mr. Trump insisted the U.S. wouldn't touch the NHS if you gave it to us on a silver platter. This evening, world leaders started to arrive at Buckingham Palace, where they will be hosted by the Queen to mark 70 years of the NATO alliance. Despite initially saying he had no thoughts on the UK ballot, Mr. Trump also lavished praise on Boris Johnson for doing a great job and made clear he had always supported Brexit. And it was funny, too, because when asked, Trump was like, I shouldn't get involved in the election, but I like Brexit and Boris Johnson's doing a great job. And it's like, okay, dude, you didn't have to, issue that disclaimer that you shouldn't, but then you did. But that's why he said it, I guess. People are also commenting about how he was asked if he supports the protesters in Iran, and he goes, I shouldn't comment about that. But I shouldn't comment. It's like, okay, dude. The dramatic spat came as Mr. Corbyn tries to weaponize the president's arrival as he desperately works to claw back the Tories' poll advantage. A poll today found the Conservatives are 12 points ahead enough for a comfortable majority. So clearly Corbyn is lying to people to make them think for some reason Americans are going to come and do something with NHS. That's ridiculous in so many ways. That's just, it's like literally trying to paint Trump as like a mustache twirling villain who for no reason wants to increase your medication prices. Why would the United States do it? It's just such ridiculous absurdity. And you know what, man? Yeah, surprise, surprise. Protesters believed it. These people believe anything, you know? Look, it's possible. I'll get it. But there's no evidence to support, and it's such a weird thing to claim is going to happen. Whatever, man. I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment's coming up in just a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.